and this is after. So clearly there is no before because I was late for the movie, so I have to book it in there. Ran in there and I can't see myself because it's so sunny on my screen. Anyways, so yes, Atomic Blonde, this is the after. But before, I mean, I can just say what I was expecting. Cool fight sequences. I mean, I heard about the story. It was kind of iffy. So going in, I knew that. And it was still iffy when I was actually watching it. And it's totally unfair, I feel, that this director was the second half of John Wick. So everyone had a lot of John Wick expectations. And I think John Wick's story was very clear-cut, simple. Whereas this one's very... There's two narratives going on. We have an interview and the backstory of what happened during that week. I think it proves to be challenging in terms of juggling audience expectations and telling a story where you have to make sure your characters are convincing and audiences actually care about them. But seriously, Charlize Theron, great stuff. That action sequences really delivered, very hard and brutal, and really shows off, I feel, what John Wick didn't really carry over was the whole human limit. Whereas John Wick, even though he got injured and all that, he was still John Wick and kicking ass. I mean, granted, he is the boogeyman and he can do everything that he needs to do and he can kick everyone's ass. But then here with Lorraine, it's like much more talked about and shown where she just like, I am running out of stamina, I can't pull this off, I'm gonna die if I don't kill this guy with my keys. And she did a good job there. And yeah, overall, I mean, cinematography in terms of just the fight sequences was great. Everything else pretty typical. We have John Goodman playing the CIA. I mean, the story I think does get a lot more interesting near the end, and the beginning is just less, where you just don't really care for her. I mean, we think that she's a badass strictly from the trailers. I mean, from a story standpoint, yes, we see that sequence in the beginning in her car, but it just seems like she has to prove herself that she's a badass. And I think that's a very different sort of mentality compared to John Wick. And I think, yeah, I think just going in with John Wick mentality is gonna make you like this movie less. So if you sort of can forget about John Wick and just watch this movie for what it is, which, I mean, typically you should do that for most movies, and I think you enjoy it a lot more. And it's really hot outside, holy crap. And yeah, I mean, I enjoy the fight sequences. All I talk about is the fight sequences. Sophia, like, holy crap, she's worked with so many great people now. I mean, Tom Cruise, Samuel L. Jackson, now Charlize Theron, and what else? More people. I don't know what else she was in. Oh, she was also in Star Trek. So, I mean, good job for her. But granted, I wish her character was more fleshed out. I mean, it did what it needed to be done, and good stuff. But I think more fleshing out would made you care more about what happened to her throughout the movie. James McAvoy was great. I mean, this menacing sort of dude, like, is he really good or bad? Keeping you on your toes type of thing. Sort of tapped into his whole split thing. Interesting stuff. I mean, we had that dude from Captain America who was the brain guy. He was there and not really there. But I mean, overall, you don't really go in hoping for great acting in these type of movies, and I think as an action thriller it delivers, and that's all you pretty much need, right? So yeah, that's it. I enjoyed it, and I would definitely check out the comic. I know that it's based off a comic and there's a sequel to it, and I do wonder if it's more actiony or did they really punch up the action in this movie. And yeah, I mean, it's going back to the actual storyline. I actually enjoyed the whole Berlin Wall. I think knowing what happened and knowing what transpired and all that, it was just great to see, like, it happening in the backdrop. And I mean, granted, some reviewers are saying that, like, if you don't know what happened to the Berlin Wall, it'll be harder to get into it. So I'm glad I do. Anyways, yeah, enjoyed it, and it was cool. Really great fight scenes. I actually would want to rewatch it just for the like fight sequences, because it's just done really well, coiled really well, punches are done, sounding is really great, everything's intense, and it's just great. And I think hand-to-hand combat, much more intense. I mean, it's, you know, she's alive, but it's like, what is she gonna do to pull off to get to where she ends up, sort of thing. So there you go. So that's it for this before and after for Atomic Blonde. Later.